going to be in Proverbs, verse 9. And once again, we're in wisdom. I've skipped over a couple chapters because while wisdom, I think it's okay to go and talk about the various ways that Solomon explains it and how important it is. Some other things that are very, very important, I want to lump all together. So I'm skipping over right now the parts on adultery, and we'll come to that later. Because it's just like wisdom, it is throughout the book. Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn her 7 pillars. She has slaughtered her beasts. She has mixed her wine. She has also set her table. She has sent out her young women to call from the highest places in the town. Sometimes we get the idea that wisdom is very hard to get. You know, you have to climb up to that mountain in Tibet and to talk to that old guy that's sitting on the mountain up there. Or you have to go to India and find some guru. Or our way is we find some silver-tongued preacher and we sit at his feet. But you don't have to search for wisdom. You just have to listen to her call. What Solomon is saying here is that wisdom built her place with 7 pillars. That means it's complete. It's wonderful. She's mixed her wine. That means you can drink it. They added water with it so that it wasn't too strong, so that you could take it. Got the food ready, slaughtered the beasts. Somehow I think wisdom must be from the old South. If there's no food, it's just not going to happen. You know, going to be food. Set out the table, but then it says she has sent out her young women to call from the highest places in the town. People don't have to look for her house. She sent out the young ladies, and they got on the high places, and they said, "There's a feast at Wisdom's house. Come on down. There's a feast." And they called and said, "Whoever is simple, let him turn in here. If you need wisdom, come on in. You're welcome." To him who lacks sense, she says, "Come, eat of my bread and drink of the wine I have mixed. Leave your simple ways and live." Simple is a correctable fault. And a lot of times we don't think that. We think, you know what, there are some people who are wise, some people who use common sense, some people have insight, and then there are those people that got no more sense than a beagle. You know, they just don't have it. But Solomon says, no, come on in. You don't have to be that way. You can learn insight. You can learn to think. And then Solomon goes into specific advice. First he tells you wisdom is there It's easy. And now he's going to lay some out there. And that's the thing, is the things that Proverbs tell you, that's how you learn not to be simple. That's how you learn to think deeply. Not by having these deep algorithms and all this philosophical stuff, but by simple things that make it clear. Whoever corrects a scoffer gets himself abuse. That's good advice. Not saying you shouldn't correct scoffers. But if you're going to correct those people who know everything and nothing is ever good enough, and like Job mentioned in his book of some of his friends, if you die, wisdom dies with you. You know, if you try to correct them, you're going to get abuse. They're not going to like it. And they're going to give you a problem. And he who reproves a wicked man incurs injury. That's common sense. But how many times do you know people that know somebody is bad and they try to reprove them without protecting themselves? Solomon is saying, if you're going to do that, it's dangerous. He's not saying you shouldn't do it. He's saying you need to understand that's not going to go over well. So, why do you think that we as Christians get so confused and upset when we say that certain things are sin? Shouldn't we be expecting that they will be angry and will try to hurt us? That's wisdom. Understand when you correct the wicked. Reprove a wise man, and he will love you. That same thing that you tell somebody and they get so angry because you try to save them from the sin that's got them caught up, you can say the very same thing, the very same way, in love to someone else, and they will love you. They will be your best friend. It wasn't the message. It was the heart that the message goes to. And there's something that you can see there that maybe you don't always look into, because you're seeing first the scoffer that will hate you, and the wicked that will hurt you, and then the wise. Understand that people are going to react differently to what you do. They're not going to react the same. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be still wiser. Teach a righteous man, and he will increase in learning. Understand when you look at this, and it talks about the wicked man, I think there's something we need to understand, that not everybody who does wicked things is inherently wicked. Many have been misled. They've been lied to. They don't understand. They're not wicked themselves, but they do wicked things. and you can talk to them, and they will be the wise man that will love you, the wise man that will get wiser still. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. One of the things that I think that we don't know in our society today is the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. You can have a dual PhD and still not be wise. You can teach your children how to be the shrewdest business people on the face of the earth so they can take $100 and turn it into $100 million. And that doesn't mean they're going to be wise. Something somebody said to me a long time ago, and I don't think I'm brave enough to say it very often, is how many parents take the time to check and see if there's any homework or learning from Sunday school and Wednesday night Bible school that make their children come in and do 3 hours of homework before they can play. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. If we make our nation super smart, super wise, and leave out the Lord, they're not wise. There is no wisdom outside of the Lord. That's hard for us because we're in an eclectic society. And you go, but Les, the Egyptians had some great wisdom. The Assyrians did. Yes, they did. Remember when we studied Job? Job was not a Jew. The Lord let his message to all people. They may have perverted it. They may have only had some of it. But he told his message to everyone. In the patriarchal era, they knew. That's why, if you look at the Egyptians and you see some of their stories that look a little bit about a resurrection, there's a reason. That's because those patriarchal prophets that God spoke to, even in the Gentiles, told the story. It might have gotten messed up a little, but it was there. The knowledge of the Holy One is insight. What do you mean by that? If you want to know what is insightful, if you want to know what is smart, you need to know what God is like. Because that's what it is. People don't always know that. For by me your days will be multiplied, and years will be added to your life. This is not a promise of long life to good Christians. What this is saying is wisdom is practical. If you're wise, you are going to live longer. And I can tell you that you can see that in our community because there's a lot of people who will say, job here. And you know what? You're not going to see them around at age 92 and all that. There are people that are not wise. They don't think. And understand that you know what? Part of what Proverbs is teaching is learning about God. Being godly is good in this life as well as the next. It is not all pie in the sky. And I think that's something that maybe we've forgotten, is that living good, godly lives is good. It is better for you. God never told us to do something that would be bad for us. If you are wise for yourself. Now that's kind of a funny way to say things. We do not say things like that in English. If you're wise for yourself. If you're wise, you will reap the benefits from it. I love the more modern translations. I use the ESV because it's the closest between a word for word and a thought for thought that will sound good to people who listen. That doesn't mean that personally, I like the NIV. I've read the Message. There are quite a few that are very good. My thing is I like to read one that is got the bedrock and try to make it easy, and then I'll try to translate it into modern English. That way you can see the difference between what I think and where it came from. So that's what I try to do, is always give you as close to the accurate original that we can understand, and then sometimes I'll try to translate that into something that makes sense to us. But I want you to still have that bedrock back there that you can grab onto. If you scoff, you alone will bear it. When some of us went to school and to college, being a Christian was okay. Now, for some of us, people around my age, we were right on the beginning of, no, that's not okay. A person I know in Dos Palace, which is a town you have never heard of, it's called Two Sticks, it's in California. He went to Columbia Christian, where I went, but he went several years earlier, where they just had Bible. So to get the rest of your degree, you had to go elsewhere. And one of the classes you had to take, teacher got up first day, and said, if you do not believe the theory of evolution, you will fail this class. Well, he failed the class. So he didn't get a 4.0 when he graduated. He failed the class. The thing is, those scoffers, those people who said that God is dead, they're the ones that are going to have to bear the brunt of it. He got through. He did fine. The scoffers can only hurt you if you let them. And if you understand that when you read Proverbs, we look at the scoffers in our society, we look at them as very wise. They're always negative, they're always that, but boy, they're the wise ones. No. The Bible puts a big difference between the scoffers and the wise. We in our society need to learn that those people that are always negative, that are always trying to bash Christianity and morals, they're not the wise ones. And I hate to tell you, because I think a lot of us did not do a very good job of preparing our children for the scoffers. To say to them when they're young, you know, there are going to be people out there that are going to tell you things. But the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And if somebody doesn't fear the Lord, they're not the wise person you want to listen to. I can say that because I didn't do as good a job as I should have with my children. But we can always tell our children and our grandchildren, be careful. There are scoffers out there. There are wicked people. We always end the lesson with a invitation. And my idea of an invitation is, Jesus loves you. If you wandered away from him, come on back. If you don't know him, get to know him. Take the time now. Because I don't care how many plans we make for tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. You know, rock song. Tomorrow never comes. But it's true. Because it's always today. There's no such thing as tomorrow. If you need to answer the invitation in a public way, you can come now as we stand and as we sing.